Come one, come all, step right up, and welcome to the Geek Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Thursday, and that means it's time for Geeks with Wives and Capes, episode number 102, or 2 for you non-Spanish speaking.
I'm honored, and congrats.
Thank you, man. We're excited to be here back with. Well, first off, let me introduce Mr. Walsh, who's been away for a little bit.
Yeah, get ahead of yourself. No, who cares about that other guy we have on the show? Talk about me first.
We'll get to Frank in a second there.
I already tried to talk over you while you were doing the intro, so not a good.
Frank's like, screw your intro, I'm talking now. Casey, how you doing, man? How you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
You know, I'm okay. I got 5 wisdom teeth pulled last week, so that's why I wasn't here. So I'm still kind of recovering from that whole traumatic experience. Other than that, I'm good.
Are you on fun meds and stuff? Is it making y'all loopy?
No, I ran out of those a second day. I was out of meds.
You're like, ah.
There's no way. I hate the dentist as it is. I'm really bad. I'm a terrible child when I go to the dentist.
We talked about this. Yeah, I don't like the dentist either.
And that experience did not help at all whatsoever. So I don't think once everything's all cleared and good to go, I'll be going back to that dentist anytime soon. And luckily, dentists aren't the best on the best of terms with people right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have a lot of backing in my
with the whole line thing.
Dentists. Yeah. People aren't high on dentists, so.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're going to one of those? Make sure it doesn't kill your cat or lion.
Just lost our one dentist listener.
Sorry, Doctor, whoever your name was.
He's Dr. like, yo, fuck this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Done deal. Awesome, buddy. Well, it's good to have you on. And, of course, tonight we are... Now, this is a miracle in itself, because for us to actually get a guest who's come back for a second time, who we didn't totally scare off,
Oh, wait, am I the first guest to come back for round 2?
I don't know. Is he?
No, I think Johnny Katz has been on a couple times.
Yeah. Johnny is almost like an honorary host of the show too, so we don't really count him. But Mr. Frank Barberi, welcome to the show again, man.
Thank you so much for having me. And Casey and I just actually spoke what was it, a week or 2 ago in San Diego. So maybe this is round 3.
Ooh. Yeah, it's round numero trace. So let's hope we can last the whole. Let's make it to 10 rounds. We gotta make it to 10.
We'll be on our best behavior, Frank.
It's good to have goals. Well, hopefully I'll still have a career to talk about. So.
I think you'll be fine.
That's right.
That was also weirdly ominous. Things are going well. I didn't mean that but.
Speaking of good things going well, what exactly have you been up to since last week you graced us with your presence on our show?
Probably a lot. I can't remember when was the first time I was on. Do you guys remember what we talked about?
Black Market #1 had just come out.
Yeah, and we talked Black Market a little bit, and we talked white suits and stuff.
Okay, so that was just about a year ago. Oh gosh, yeah. So lots of things. Most prominently coming up though is Howling Commandos in the fall. I'm super psyched for that. I'm really excited to be part of the Marvel relaunch, and I don't know. I did an arc last year on Avengers World that I was really into and super grateful to get, and I really love John Hickman stuff, and my arc kind of tied into his Avengers arc, so it's actually part of the reading order, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Ostensibly in Avengers, I think between 34 and 35 maybe, he did a 8-month time jump, and the story I ended up doing in Avengers World fills in what happened during that time jump, and again, it was really a blast for me. I got to write a lot of characters who I did not think I'd ever get to write. I got to write Namor, I got to write Sunspot, Cannonball, Odinson, Thor. It was really a blast, and I really enjoyed it. And my collaborators on it, Marco Cacchetto, who is now doing Star Wars with Greg Rucka, was amazing, and the colorist, Andre Massa, as well. And our editors, John Moisen and Will Moss. And John is with me on Howling Commandos now, too, so again, it was a really cool experience, and I just kind of didn't see it coming. Like, it just was one of those things where they had it available. We're like, hey, would you like to do this? And I was like, the answer to that is always yes.
Yes.
By the way, there's very few things I will say no to in comics.
Interesting. Very interesting.
You can't say things like that for Casey, Frank. He'll take that as a challenge.
I quickly said in comics after that, but no, it's something I think I probably said during our interview, Casey, and I apologize to say it over and over. And but I really don't think there are any bad characters. Like, it's the writer's job to make the character interesting, to do something interesting. So I always look for what I think is appealing about a character, what I think is interesting, and if I don't think anything's there, I'll do it myself at this point and want to find something and take on the challenge the way I can. And again, with that, it was really a lot of fun planning around stuff John had done, because he didn't really give me too much to go on, which was really welcome. He wasn't like, oh, this is what happened during the time jump. He just said, like, well, look at the stuff in Avengers 35. Like, there's nothing you can probably really ruin. Like, it all happened, so make it work and make it compelling. And I just really went from there, and it was a lot of fun. Again, it felt like writing fan fiction, as writing a lot of characters you didn't create can feel, but ultimately I was super happy with it. And I think it's going to be collected in the last week in August. And they also put in Sam Humphrey's Avengers 34.1, I believe. It was the one where we see Night Mask and Starbrand kind of in this town, which happens actually right before my first issue, because Night Mask and Starbrand are featured prominently as well. So it'll be a cool little package. It's like my first Marvel trade with all my work in it, so I'm very excited for that.
That's pretty cool, man.
See, I already feel weirdly narcissistic. So.
Is it? I mean, do you feel now connected to kind of Hickman's grand scenario of Secret Wars and how all that played out now, with having kind of been a part of that with your arc?
Well, not necessarily the Secret War stuff, but it was really surreal to write into his Avengers run, like the pre-Secret War stuff, and I weirdly do have a bigger attachment to it now, and I was reading it, and the Doctor Strange annual I had done last June, already kind of fed into it because it was the new Avengers annual. So then to be able to do even more into it was just a very surreal and fun experience. And I do feel really attached to the run now. I'm like defensive of it. Like, I did really like it, but I know it got a little like complex and lost on people. So when they complain, I'm like, no, fuck you. You just didn't get it. Like, this is why it was great. And I've got skin in that game. But
I have no issues admitting when I'm too dumb to understand the comic. This is too smart for me. Not to say that was, but I mean, I do that. Hickman gets that complaint a lot. That things are just like, you have to read 100 comics to understand what's going on, and like everything is so like deep. And to this day too, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, Casey. I'm just an interrupter. I'm terrible, I guess. See, I was better in person, I feel like, but I could take the visual cues better. Yeah. But no, I feel like it was. I will forever regard how ballsy it was of Marvel to do Hickman's run, like, as it was clearly like pitched and seen right when the Avengers movie launched. Like, that was the Avengers #1 that launched with the movie, and it is a really complex, interesting sci-fi Avengers. And I will always, again, just be like, look, Marvel like cares about their comics fans. They're not pandering to entirely new audiences. They wanted to give people an Avengers that was, again, what the comics readers deserved. And even just as a reader at that point, I really appreciated that, because I loved the movie and I was excited, but I didn't want the book to just be like diet film, diet Avengers the movie. And I feel like they've been excellent with that across their whole line. And like, yeah, now like there are some links, and again, I don't think I could ever see Iron Man as not Robert Downey Jr., but I think if you look at all the exciting stuff going on in like Thor, all the stuff with Cap, like, they're very interested in keeping their comics their own kind of little universe, and I really appreciate that as a fan. And as a creator too, obviously, you don't have to like get notes from like Robert. It's a different side of it. And as someone who's been a comic fan my whole life, I'm excited to see all the film stuff happening, but
Like, I like my comics to be in the continuity that I've been reading, to be part of that way to do that without just having to erase everything that was there before.
Right.
Now it's becoming a weird rant on continuity. But
no, that's a good question, and I was gonna ask you a little bit about, you're working on the upcoming Howling Commandos book, and obviously we're at a time where Captain America is going to be kind of at that height of popularity again with the new movie coming out. We're at the tail end of Age of Ultron. Like, do you find it hard not to like think about all those outside influences going, oh, this Captain America, it has to stand up to that level, or you just kind of don't really care and just kind of just keep it in your own space?
it's funny because I didn't even think of that till you said it.
Great.
Technically,
always a moniker of a good question. You've never been asked it before.
Well, I've gotten so like lost in a good way into our own mythology we've made for this new Commandos book that I forget that it originates with Captain America. And again, Dum Dum's history is in there and his legacy, but like, it's very much its own thing, and I really appreciate that. Like, we kind of have our own little corner of the Marvel universe to play with, and our villain of our first arc is, I think, very unexpected. And like, I'm having a lot of fun looking through like a lot of Marvel history and things like that, and just playing with like the universe and enjoying kind of being left alone. Like, it doesn't tie into anything directly as it is now, so I can kind of just tell my own story and do what I want, but you just get the Marvel universe to kind of play with at the same time. So, I mean, I hope people check the book out because of that link. I hope they're not disappointed because it's very much its own thing.
Sure.
But I stand behind what we've done, and my collaborators on it, Brent Schoonover, and then Nick Filardi is actually coloring it, who I love. So I'm so glad to have him on board. And my editor, John, and everyone at Marvel has really kind of like gotten excited by the possibilities for the book and let me do my own thing, which is really appreciated. And it's cool to come into what is ostensibly, it's not Avengers, but it's still a big franchise book. Like, there's a lot of DNA in that book that is theirs. It's all theirs, and they want those characters to be established and to be cool, and to be someone who gets to do that really is a unique and exciting opportunity. And our team is definitely, like, I had a minute when I got the roster where I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, not knowing what to expect. As our team is, let's see if I can do it off my hand right now. It's the crazy lineup of Dum Dum Dugan, who is a life model decoy, which was revealed in Original Sin, so sorry for the spoiler if you didn't know that, but you should know that going into the book.
Right.
So it's Dum Dum.
Oh, sorry. Is Dum Dum going through like identity crisis now that he's found out he's like a life model decoy?
Yes, in Shield #9, which I think comes out very soon, there's a kind of like prequel to the Howling Commando story. It's not necessarily essential to read my book, like you won't miss anything, but I think it's essential because Al Ewing did such a great job with it, and he set up kind of Dum Dum's character post Original Sin. Essentially, it starts with Maria Hill waking him up in the tank, and he's coming back to life, and he's very torn. He's like, why didn't you just leave me dead? Like, I'm not really Dum Dum Dugan.
Yeah.
And Al has a nice bit of resolution and characterization in that issue, and I'm not going to spoil what happens, but coming into my series after reading that, and I got to talk with Al at C2E2 about all this, really kind of gave me a firm ground for him, and he really is at a kind of crisis of it, together this new Howling Commandos and wants them to be all that he expects them to be, and he's kind of taking this mentor role. So he's a really cool character to have leading it. He's still not certain who he, and everyone on the team is as well. I mean, like I said, our roster is very diverse in an interesting way. Of the different monsters that are on it, it's definitely a lot of characters who people may not have seen before or be too familiar with anymore. But going through it, so it's Dum Dum, then it's Hit Monkey, Man Thing, Vampire by Night, Warwolf, Orgo, Amphibian, Zombie Jasper Sitwell, And who is the person I am forgetting? There's one more because there's 9 of them. Oh, jeez. I just got fired for not remembering my roster. There's one more person I probably did not say, but hold on, I will look at an image real quick because
The big giant rock guy.
That's Orgo. Yeah, did I say Orgo?
Right.
I think I did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I got everyone. Maybe there's only 8. Hold on, let me look. Yeah, so this is. I mean, it's a lot
No,
of characters, which
there's
I was
9.
definitely very, very like apprehensive about doing. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
This,
8.
this sounds like a pretty
Oh,
wild
well,
team that they have together. So.
I remember the last guy. It's Teenage Abomination. So. Teenage A-Bomb, yeah. So Teenage Abomination is, I think Tom Taylor actually introduced him in Iron Man.
Yeah, he was
As
a
Tom
villain. He
was
was like
kind
the
of tweeting this
villain
out.
in the first issue, I think.
Yeah, but he's again another really interesting character, and you see him in Al's Shield number 9. You kind of see how he gets recruited onto the Howling Commandos. But yeah, no, it's a super interesting team. I'm really excited with these characters, and as I said, when I got the roster, I was like, "Whoa, this is not anything I expected." But again, I figured out a lot of how they work together, who they are, and really excitingly, I got to actually I've made up a few new characters who are going to pop into the book as both heroes and villains, which is a huge like nerdy Marvel dream, as I get to kind of write people into the universe. So.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. I can't really talk about who they are yet, but they are going to be some cool characters, and hopefully people will like them.
Sweet.
So Frank, if you had to place it, you're a genre writer. Like you write every genre imaginable when it comes to comic books. If you had to place this one in a genre, like is it a horror book? Is it like kind of a fish out of water book? Like where would you place this in the genre pantheon?
I would say it is an action horror book. Like I'm definitely having a lot of fun with some of the horror influence. I got a lot of that in the last arc of Five Ghosts, and always a little bit in Five Ghosts. And I wasn't always a huge horror fan, but I've really come to like it, and I really enjoyed doing a lot on Five Ghosts this last arc because we did the kind of like horror arc about Van Helsing and Dr. Moreau. And coming into this was a really perfect extension of that. Sometimes things link up in a really synced up way. And there's definitely some stuff, well, issue 2 is called Ghost Train, so there you go, of Howling Commandos. But it's definitely a lot of fun. I would really say it's action horror. And I mean, the tone of it is not entirely self-serious. Like there's definitely a little bit of comedy in there, but it's nowhere near as like kind of like silly as like say like Next Wave or like making fun of itself. It's just there is levity because again, it doesn't want to be so self-serious and crazy, but I think the artist Brent Schoonover, my collaborator, did a great job with all the art so far in kind of establishing a tone visually, because his stuff is. He just did the Ant-Man annual, which came out fantastic as well. But his stuff is very, like, for lack of a better adjective, comic booky and has a cartoony sense to it. But it's not like I don't know. Wow. Look, big reveal here. Frank Barberi sucks about talking about art. Good job. But no, I think Brent has brought a really cool tone to the book visually, and it really kind of helped me see what it was once we started working on it. And it's definitely been inspiring, and he's doing awesome work. And I definitely gave him some really pain in the ass stuff to draw right in the first like 3 pages. So like the first pages 2 and 3 are a giant spread of the whole team fighting a bunch of plant zombies on an oil tanker.
Nice.
And I'm just like, Brent, there are thousands of plant zombies there.
Yeah.
and that was like his first taste of the book.
Man.
I bet anytime you write Man-Thing into a scene, he's like, God damn it.
Well, no, there's a really cool Man-Thing moment in number 1, and in number 1 I'm really happy with. I mean, it was my first time writing like a number 1 kind of team book, and I really wanted to just get across like what makes each of these characters cool, like little bit of who they are and see the team kind of trying to work together for the first time. I think we were really successful with that. I think it really is a nice opening piece to the series, and you get to see everyone. Everyone has kind of a moment, and despite it being such a large cast, it really is a fun intro to the world and what they're doing and what the mission is. And so our team is a special division of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Stake, which I thought was really fun because we have S.H.I.E.L.D., who's, again, normal S.H.I.E.L.D., then we have Sword, who does aliens, and actually Ben Hacker and Ben Blacker introduced Wand in their Thunderbolts annual, which deals with a little bit more of the magical world. So I figured with our division we have Stake, which is the supernatural threat analysis and kill experts, and that's what our team does. They're kind of out there to evaluate all the supernatural threats in the Marvel universe, and if need be, put them down. So.
Yeah.
So with having such a large.
So about that, yeah.
So with having such a large roster of characters, and not really being that familiar with them to start with, which one did you find yourself gravitating now towards as you write? Which is your favorite?
It's funny because I found myself wanting to fill in stuff for the weirdest ones. So like issue 2, you literally really only see like a smaller squad of Dum Dum, Vampire by Night, and Amphibian.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was cool because it kind of gave us the team on a smaller scale, and you kind of get to see those characters and see what they do well, rather than just being like, oh, that's a big fish guy, and I guess she's like a vampire, quote. So these characters do well, who they are, and what their skills are, deeper than just like trying to have everyone in every issue all the time. So as I said, with issue 1, I really wanted to show everyone, but moving forward, the idea is that Dum Dum kind of has access to all these resources, to each of them, and kind of push in. And ideally, every issue is going to be a kind of different mission. Some will kind of bleed. We might need more space, but we're really Dum Dum as an excellent soldier and tactician that he has these crazy supernatural monsters. Then retroactively think, well, who's going to fit that? Or think in the back of my head, like, well, what do I want to see? Who do we want to use? Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So it's definitely a fun exercise to kind of do as a writer, to think, okay, like if I want to give this character an issue or their moment, what would the mission be, et cetera, et cetera. Moving on, but yeah, no, it's really fun. I'm really excited for it. I hope people dig it. I'm really happy with it, and I think that's the most I can do at the end of the day. And as I said, Brent and Nick are doing such good work. It's definitely a very, very pretty book, and I am always happy when that is the case as well. In my whole career so far, I've been very lucky with the people I get to collaborate with, whether I find them on my own or I'm paired up. I am a huge fan of art. I'm a huge fan of comic book art and comics. I love to see different people's takes on stuff I write, and it's a lot of fun as a writer to work with different people and always be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Frank, when you're writing a book, that you mentioned is very much, action horror, is there anything in particular you might use or watch to help inspire you if you reach a block in your stories, or any classic horror movies or anything like that help you in that area?
Honestly, I'm not a horror movie buff, which is something that we would get a lot with Five Goes, because Chris likes horror a lot.
You're not selling comic books, Frank. You're not selling comic books.
But well, Chris loves like all the old Hammer stuff, and really like kind of has shown me a lot of stuff when we were working on Five Goes that got me more into it. But with Howling Commandos, I mean, an obvious touchstone is BPRD. I think our book shares a lot of the same DNA as BPRD, and even like the Frankenstein Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. book at DC a few years ago. I mean, I'm not an idiot. Like, I get that stuff is similar. Like, I would see people tweet like, "Oh, this is just Marvel's shitty take on this stuff. And no, I mean, there's a lot of books about people hunting monsters. I mean, I joke with my friends a lot that Hellboy has practically become a genre in comics now.
Right.
Like, it's just like, so I am aware of all that stuff, and I've read all of it, and I've kind of taken what I've liked about it and kind of thrown it together in the Marvel universe with these particular characters. And really, for me, Hellboy and BPRD, I think, are such excellent. They're the same thing. They're horror action comics, and a lot of the tone and kind of just cues I have taken from that, because again, they're great work. And John Arcudi, who has written all of BPRD, I love his stuff. And even Rumble, now that he's working on with James Herron, I feel like has a little bit more fantasy than what we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
But tonally, in the sense of horror, I feel like that's sort of monsters, which works a little better than, say, having a classic film
Right.
film version. And I'm trying to get better. I just, growing up, I never liked movies. I think it's because I'm a wuss, and I saw all the obvious ones. Like, again, I saw like Scream, which is barely a horror movie,
Right.
I guess, and like Blair Witch and
All those fun ones from the 90s, right?
I saw that horrible My Bloody Valentine 3D movie. I just remember that was weird.
Oh, nice.
Because they had a sex scene in 3D. Like, that was maybe
Weird. That sounds like a fucking blockbuster to me.
You're like, that's Friday night.
Yeah.
Startlingly, it did you better then.
Somewhere. They need more 3D sex scenes. That's why I don't go see 3D movies. There's no sex scenes.
No, there's no sex. I'm not seeing it. Done.
Deadpool was in 3D, had a sex scene. Holy shit! That made
This was back like a few years, like more than a few years ago, probably like 10 years ago. So like,
yeah,
they were really ahead of the curve on that one.
For sure. Hey,
Frank. 3D
Frank.
sex scene technology has really gone up since then.
I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon.
And I idiotically just found like the full PDF of How Commandos 1 in my mailbox. I didn't even realize I had the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had seen the art as it came in, but so yeah, we're also nice ahead on the book, which is great. Like, Brent is already drawing issue 2, and the book's not out until October, which in the world of comics is very fast. He did a lot of great work on number 1. I'm looking at all in completion, and I'm beyond psyched for people to see it. I feel like, as I said, he just found such a strong visual tone for the book that works better than I could have imagined. There's a lot of crazy stuff right out the gate in the first issue, and Brent definitely made it all work, and I think people are really going to like it. And again, he's an artist who I think has been on a lot of people's radars, but I hope this book really kind of gives him a big push, because he does awesome work.
Yeah. Frank, are you working with the, essentially the same Howling Commandos that were introduced in Shield number 6?
Do you mean number 9 or number 6?
Number 6, because at number 6 there's like Frankenstein's monster and Man-Thing and Living Mummy, and it says.
No, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess Mark had pulled some of the older ones, but yeah, there's no Frankenstein, there's no Living Mummy.
Gotcha.
It's literally just the team I had said.
Right.
So I don't know, coming out of Secret Wars, if that team is even going to be still together or what have you. But yeah, I'm also a huge fan of Rick Remender, and obviously I've read Castle, and I've been going back through a lot of that. And for a minute, I was like, oh, can I put Castle on the team? Obviously, the answer was no. I feel like even just with this first arc, I'm going to brought in an unexpected villain and kind of cut out my own little corner for the Howling Commandos. But I feel like there's a lot of room to do a lot of really cool stuff with some of the more supernatural Marvel characters, and the book is kind of a hit, so we get a nice long run and stuff in here, because there is already a nice extended plan. Like, I sent quite a big outline to start with, and there's a lot I would love to get to. So everyone go pre-order the book, so we can all have fun together forever.
Yes. And you said the book is scheduled to hit in October, right?
Yes, I don't know the exact date in October, but it is October.
Excellent.
Cool, great talk there. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't give us an exact date because they don't know when Secret Wars is going to end because it keeps getting delayed.
Okay.
Like we have to wait for Secret Wars to end.
Fun.
Marvel burn.
No, never.
I don't support that comment.
I'm super excited for Howling Commandos. Like I said, I love those monster books, and I really love when like obscure characters kind of get the spotlight for a little while. I'm a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, and
you're going to love our villain in the first arc then.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, let me ask you then, as a fan of the kind of monster Marvel you a bit, what is the one thing you would want to see, or one character you would want to see if you were being asked, which I'm asking you right now?
I mean, I think you said Frankencastle is a great one. Of course, I was gonna ask you, like, of course Blade's gonna show up at some point. That's got to be a given, right? Now the question is it the new Blade or the Wesley Snipes Blade? I don't know. It's your decision. But I expect that the character shows up at some point. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really dipped into it in a while. I just kind of like it when they do show up in the other books. But I like Frankencastle, like I said, like you said earlier. I think that's such a fun book and such a great character, and it would be an awesome hero or villain for your book.
I definitely have dug into Rick's run there, and we'll hopefully be finding such great stuff in there, and really brought back a lot of those characters. I feel like he kind of brought back those characters into the modern Marvel a little bit. Like they had been sitting a while, and it was Rick's Legion of Monsters book I also checked out too to get a little bit of background of what they did, like with Amphibian, and Morbius was in that as well. So we don't have Morbius on our team, but like I said, there's so many characters, and the Marvel Universe is a big place, and hopefully we get a lot of time to kind of dig in and find everyone who could be cool and work them in. And I'm very comfortable with, as I said, the framework we found for the series, like having them be kind of a military shield unit gives us a really natural structure and a lot of exciting stuff to do. And even just in the first handful of issues, we see a lot of cool secret stuff going on. And there's a particularly cool reveal I won't talk about, but it is on the last page of Al's Shield number 9, so I would definitely highly recommend picking that up. And I believe Shield number 9 is a huge issue too. It has like a story that was drawn by Lee Ferguson, who's an artist I love as well. So check out Shield number 9.
Yes, excellent.
We're not here to pump that book, Frank. We're here to pump your books.
Well, I can move across the way a tiny bit, and the other 5 Ghosts number 17 finally came out last week, so we're very excited. It's the end of our 3rd arc, and I will always think about my time in Comic Ghost, because 5 Ghosts was the first thing I did a year before 5 Ghosts that became White Suits, but 5 Ghosts is really for me what I consider my start in comics, which was in March 2013, so was not all that long ago, but we have been working on it consistently since March 2012, so it's been a really long journey so far for us, and it's nice to see now a 3rd collection, 17 issues, plus a special issue, so technically 18 issues, kind of out and collected and take a breather for a minute. And again, it's a really important book to me. It's a book that brought me into comics. It's a book that got all of my comics work. So I'm just glad people are still and released a hardcover in June, and now Volume 3 is going to be August. So we're excited for a lot of their hands on.
So that was going to be my next question. With 5 Ghosts 17 coming out, and you kind of branching off and doing Marvel books and more Boom books, what's the future of 5 Ghosts? Is there an end in sight? Or do you plan to do that book until you just can't do it anymore?
Well, we left number 17 on a huge cliffhanger, so that was a real dick move, I guess. But yeah, we hope we can continue as long as possible. Honestly, we're taking a little bit of a break right now and kind of recalibrating and figuring out what we're going to do. But it's a book that will always exist for us. I mean, it's really important to me, Lauren, and Chris who work on it. And again, it's special to have your own thing that you made. And again, Image are fantastic partners and publishers, and I really hope I can bring some more stuff there this year as well. But it all just comes down to time, too, and wanting to do the best work we possibly can. And with Five Ghosts, we've really just been like burning the candle on both ends for almost 3 years now. So we're literally at that point where we're like, okay, trade's out. We'll take 2 or 3 months and think where we're going to go from here. And I mean, we have plans for the fourth arc, and we would love to roll right into it, but we are kind of assessing where we're at, what we want to do, and there's more stuff I want to do in the universe. I mean, doing the special was really cool because we gave a chance to let my friend Shane actually write and draw a story, as well as having a backup with a different artist. And I definitely love to explore doing kind of a mini-series out of continuity at some point in 2016 as well. But right now we're just kind of like reeling from from finishing as much as we had. So hopefully we will be back before long, sometime in 2016, to continue the story. Because as I said, we did leave on a huge cliffhanger, and we are not looking to take any kind of extended break from that at this point. But
that was a long explanation for Frank to just say, "I'm fucking busy, man." Yeah, I mean, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it is the kind of thing where Image is a really interesting and cool company where you do everything yourself. So it is literally just me, Chris, and Lauren who work on Five Ghosts. The fantastic production people at Image, again, take our files, we upload and get them ready for the books and print the books. But in terms of the physical, like, quote, making of the work that goes into those pages is all of us and all coordinated by myself. Mm-hmm. And I love doing that. I mean, I probably have some sickness where if I'm not doing that, I feel lazy, but it's just nice to kind of catch a breather every now and then as well. But we love that book. I love that book, and we will hopefully continue doing it forever as long as, again, we have some kind of readership. And I mean, really, like, I like writing comics. I like a lot of different comics. I like working for all the companies I work for, so I will continue doing that and hope that it kind of increases my audience, do our own stuff the better as well. And again, that's part of the excitement of doing kind of larger scale work. It kind of gets new eyes on you, and I think we're in a landscape where there's a really savvy readership. Like, they pay attention to who's making these books, not just who the characters are. And it's exciting to have people discover your body of work. And I've a lot about Broken World at San Diego, but Broken World 3, I think, comes out next week, and I'm really excited for people to see where that book goes as it's
yeah, Broken World.
I looked at.
I was going to ask you about that, Frank. Just a couple notes on Broken World and your take on what the book is about, maybe to people who are listening who haven't read it yet. Because I only had a chance to read the first issue, and I got to tell you, my fiance was like, "What happened?" I go, "That was an intense way to start a book. Like, there was a lot going on in that first issue that just kind of made me stop and go, wow, like, what just happened right now?"
Well, thanks. No, I mean, it's definitely a very different book for me in terms of it. It is a lot more of a, I guess, drama, but I hate quantifying stuff like that. I mean, it's a lot of just like, I don't know. Everything is character driven, but here there's the end of the world situation, but it's not like anyone's going to grab a laser gun and shoot anyone in the face. It's more just about all the different characters and how they're kind of dealing with this huge disaster that ends up not happening.
Yeah, because that's something I feel is not too often explored in something of that type of world-destroying event. Like, what if that doesn't happen? what if we like prepared for it and we made steps that we're pretty sure it's going to happen and then it doesn't? What happens to all the people that were affected in different ways? And especially in your book, and not to spoil too much, but there was basically a group of people that were able to leave the Earth because the government deemed them worthy, and then there was the other people that didn't get to leave, and basically the people that didn't leave are the ones that now have basically taken over what's left of the Earth and left after this disaster didn't happen.
Yeah, and I mean, coming into that book, that was always the setup that made me want to write it, and now I'm actually done writing it. It's a 4-issue miniseries, so while there is a big, big world there, we tell a very focused story, mainly just about Elena and the 3 people she's mainly in contact with, and I'm really, really happy with how it came out, and I'm excited to see people process the whole thing, because number 3 is out, and number 3 is a big turning point, but there are more reveals to be had in number 4, and I don't know, I'm really proud of it. I think it's definitely the kind of thing you need to process all together, and it is built with those big cliffhangers at the end of each of the issues, but I think people will, and I hate to say like get it, but it's the kind of thing where was written as 4 issues to be read as a kind of unit, and like, yeah, the issues stand on their own, but I really hope people will kind of stick with it and pass judgments after they read the whole thing, because I think after you see the end, you'll be like, oh, this is where this was going, and now I see maybe why some of these choices were made and what people were really talking about, et cetera. Yeah. Which, I mean, I hope that doesn't sound like a cop-out at all, but I had a very my characters from point A to point B and how they were going to get there, and I think when you see the whole thing, it all makes a lot of sense.
And I think from a standpoint of just having read the first couple issues of the book, it's really cool how your book takes a very strong stance on, not necessarily strong stance, but it deals with a lot of different issues. If that were to happen in a real life scenario, like how the government would deal with it, and how certain faith-based groups would deal with it, and how everyday people would deal with it. So it's got a lot of very interesting, I guess we could say, social commentary on those different points of views, which I think also it helps. It's a really cool change of pace, other than obviously just reading superhero and monster books. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And it really was an interesting thing to write, because I am just a fan of drama. I'm a fan of, again, just fiction. And every now and then, it's nice to do something kind of outside some of these more kind of just like fantastical genres, where you can like rely on either superheroes or people solving everything with fist fights, which again has its appeal, but is a very different kind. And for me, I feel like it was important to do something like that right now, to kind of just challenge myself and push myself to move forward a bit. And I definitely learned a lot from doing it, and I try to learn from everything I do, but I'm really proud of it. And same with my series I did last year, Black Market. I feel like that, while still being like a genre piece, like was a little different than people might have been expecting, and I'm really found a lot of kind of growth in that as well. Okay, I'm starting to ramble. I apologize, but no, I try to do it, especially with every project I do, and then just stuff I make up. I try to do coming off as just being that. Like I want the books to entertain and to be exciting for readers and say something that is interesting to me, and not just kind of fall into the same rhythm over and over. And that's the interesting thing about doing something for so long, like Five Ghosts. We enjoy Five Ghosts, but I mean, a lot of it, like Five Ghosts when I write it, which is both good and bad. Definitely moving forward with that book, I want to try to reinvent what is a little bit and work with what's there, but not just make it so you kind of expect, like, oh, okay, Fabian's going to get into this hard situation, that he's going to find some ability that wasn't there 2 issues ago, and he's going to defeat it. Hooray. Like, I don't want the book to be that for the rest of its lifespan. And I think working on other stuff really helps you gain perspective on your own work, if that makes any sense. Like I work on a lot of different things, and in everything I work on, I try to take something from and I can apply it to other books I'm doing.
Yeah. Awesome.
So Frank, I have a question from one of our writers on the site. Tyler wants to know with the introduction of Teen Abomination in your group, are you going to deal with any of the issues or implications that he's transgendered?
We are definitely going to explore the character in future issues. I feel like he's not really featured a lot in 1 and 2, but we will definitely get into kind of who he is and, well, basically who he is as we move forward. And he's a character I didn't know a lot about coming into, but he's a character I like a lot, so I definitely want to give him his due as we move forward. And I will definitely, again, be presenting him as a character, not just a superhero or kind of like monster, so to speak. That's the thing with all these characters. The book really is about identity, and one of the big things coming in is I'm really trying to show like what it means to identify as something, which I think is a really big conversation going on in a lot of fiction right now. And really, it's I can't spoil stuff for issue 4 right now because one's not out, but I think identity is a really big core of the book, and he's a character that definitely has a lot to say about that. So, yes, we will be talking about Teen Abomination as we move forward. I'm not talking about we'll have him in the book, and again, he's a really cool, interesting character that I think people are going to enjoy seeing kind of get more face time versus just being, again, a minor player in a lot of the books he's been featured in. So that was a really long-winded answer to say yes, but that's what I mean. I mean, the book it's a big cast, and a lot of these characters are definitely very interesting and have storied pasts as well that we want to show reverence to, but also kind of redefine their roles as the new team in the new Marvel going forward. And we're certainly not going to just like cherry pick their histories, but we want to make sure that they're kind of staying true to what readers not necessarily like or expect, but what readers know about the characters as well. We're not trying to just reinvent everybody and come up with whole new takes. They are the characters who've been in the Marvel Universe, but I think them coming into Stake, it's a very unique circumstance of which they're recruited in Stake, and I apologize for stuttering through this. I don't want to really spoil stuff we're dealing with in Commandos 1, but it's not necessarily a fun place to be for some of these characters. And we're definitely getting some of that pushback and see what they're like with as we explain what Stake really is and how they got there. And as I said, I feel like a great job of kind of setting up and kind of answer about Team Abomination.
Sorry, made me forget my question. I don't remember what it was now. Damn it.
Way to go, buddy. Way to go.
I know. Terrible.
Awesome.
So Frank, I think that's pretty much all we have for you. do you want to tell us where we can find you and where we can find your books and all that good stuff?
Let's do the plugs, Frank.
Well, as if I haven't been plugging myself for the last hour and a half. But hour and a half. Also, I cannot tell time. The last 40 minutes or so.
Sweet.
But I am on Twitter at the username Atlas Incognita, which is hard to sound out sometimes for people, but it's ATLASINCOGNITA. And I tweet kind of often. I mean, mainly I promote my stuff, talk about what I'm doing. If you're interested in following my stuff, that is the best spot to do so. And my website is also atlasincognito.com. And between those two, you should be able to keep up pretty much with my career.
Awesome.
Real quick, Frank, what are you reading lately that aren't your books?
Oh gosh, well I've been reading this novel Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson because it deals with
Novel.
the world getting yeah, right. Well, no, it's funny because it deals with the world getting destroyed, and for a minute when someone told me about it, I'm like, oh shit, is it the same thing as Broken World? Thankfully, it's not. It shares a lot of the same conceptual ideas, but it's a very different take, and I've really been digging it. Geez, I've been moving, but I just read comics yesterday. I read Hawkeye, the Jeff Lemire Hawkeye. I read Black Science. I read Southern Bastards, which continues to be amazing. I feel like Jason Aaron just is the master of doing like single issue character studies, and this last issue about Esau was so good, and Jason Latour continues to turn out brilliant work there as well.
I know. I opened that first page, and I was like, oh shit! Like, good thing I am reading this in my home by myself.
Oh yeah, that was a hell of a opening page.
Yeah. Like, oh man, that is pornographic. Unexpected. But yeah, I agree with Southern Bastards is like no offense, probably my favorite book, one of my favorite books out right now.
It's just like it's one of those things where and I love Saga as well. I was excellent. I was really to see that and enjoy it. I've never really read a lot about it, but I love Mark Waid. I love kind of staples, and I think that's the kind of book we need. And a little more, just kind of like, again, slice of life, for lack of a better term. Right? They're not crazy like genre pieces, but just fun stories. And it was obviously beautiful. Brian K. Vaughan shamelessly, when I really loved We Stand on Guard. I will read anything Jonathan Hickman works on as well. So I mean, I'm a huge comics fan. I read every week, and I'm just trying to think if I've read anything weird or old.
Star was the last weird comic I read.
I actually really liked Starve as well. I had read the solicit. I read the solicit, and I really didn't know what to expect from it, but I was pleasantly surprised. Well, Witches just came out in trade. Witches was phenomenal, and
talk about a scary book.
Well, let me plug two books I really like right now. Midnighter by Steve Orlando. Steve is a good friend and absolutely crushing it. Like with Midnighter, I think it's a great book, and everyone should be reading it. And Omega Men by Tom King. Tom is another guy who I just love his stuff. He's a great writer, and his Omega Men, I think he's doing something really unique and really challenging, and I think people should definitely be reading it.
Steve Orlando will be on the show in a few weeks.
What an asshole.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Sweet.
Love Midnighter. Love Midnighter. Hate Steve.
Yeah, Midnighter is a popular book around the Geeks with Wives offices, per se.
No, I like Steve a lot. I'd say it's a book, and I will actually be sitting at New York Comic Cons. We will have at the con.
Oh, nice.
Well, now you guys can talk about your Geeks with Wives alumni status.
You're considered varsity now, Frank, so you're good.
Man, I'm a junior, right? Technically.
Yeah. It's close enough for us.
The plaque's in the mail.
Yes, plaque in your official jacket.
Thank you so much again, Frank, for joining us tonight. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. I know I feel like we talk to you every week now, but you're one of my favorite writers, and the best part of doing this job is getting to talk. You're welcome. Let me finish. The best part of doing this job is getting to talk to people that I admire and adore, and the work that they do. So thank you so much for coming on and always agreeing to talk to us. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And everyone, go pick up Black Market, Broken World, and definitely Howling Commandos when it hits stores in October.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much again, Frank. We know we appreciate you staying up late because we know you're on the East Coast. So thanks, man. It's always great having you on, and man, we look forward to having you back once Howling Commando drops.
He'll be way too big for us then. That we're gonna be out of his status at that point.
or maybe fired from comics. Who knows? We'll see.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
I honestly don't think that. Quick caveat. I'm falling apart now, guys. We had a good time, and now I'm okay. I'm signing off before this gets weird. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and yeah, that's all.
All right.
Thanks, Frank. We'll talk to you later. Frank's going to go now, but me and Will will continue on.
Yes, thanks, Frank.
Awesome. So, Frank, always awesome.
You too.
You too, man. Thank you so much.
Good stuff.
Frank's
man.
always awesome to talk to. I know. I love that guy to death.
Frank's one of those most awesome guests that we could just talk to forever and not have to talk about anything else.
Speaking of, we're already running on time. Yeah, 8:52. So, what do you want to talk about? Not really a lot in the news. So, you want to talk about a little bit what you read this week, real fast?
Let's do a little bit, and we'll just cover like maybe one or two of the little news topics we got on there.
Cool.
I'll go first tonight. Speaking of starting this whole cool action horror, genre that Mr. Frank is going to be working on, they're kind of starting to go that way in this week's issue of Shield, which is number 8 by Mark Waid. The thing I like about this comic is, like I've said before, it's one of those things where you can just pick up and read, and you don't have to feel like you have to read 87 other things to get it. It's just kind of like, every single issue is a different mission from the files of Shield. They're dealing with, I guess we could say they're enhanced or regular people that have been given upgrades to become either superheroes or mercenaries for hire by different governments. They mentioned that some of them are being used as pets or slaves by, the highest bidder. So on this particular mission, we have Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird, and Agent May investigating. And they basically uncover like this crazy psycho surgeon who's been, giving people abilities. There was a guy with wings. Kind of for a split second thought it was Angel, but I was like, nah, that's the wrong book. But anyways, there's some really interesting surgeons with like teeth that look like Baraka from Mortal Kombat. So we're kind of starting to delve into this whole, horror-ish element in the Shield files. And of course, spoiler alert, towards the end there are some very interesting looking characters. A guy that looks like a devil, chick with really long claws, and a guy with ram horns. So we're kind of starting to open that conversation, we could say, in that whole horror genre-esque side of Shield. So really, really fun book.
So perfect segue. It's setting up Frank's book, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Shield number 8, one of my favorites. Star Wars number 7 by Jason Aaron, right?
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
New artist, because this is the first issue that Joe Cassaday isn't. Is it John or Joe? Shit, I should know that. The Cassaday isn't drawing.
Yeah. Cassaday and Laura Martin. Did you read this? Did you read this one?
I did. I read it just before we got on here.
Yeah. Would you from a geeky Star Wars person, I thought it touched on a thing that really in the Star Wars universe we know very little about. We now know because of the prequels that Obi-Wan himself took Luke to Tatooine, put him in the care of his aunt and uncle, and silently watched him from the backgrounds of the outer rim areas in Tatooine, basically to protect him and make sure that the Jedi's last hope was surviving and thriving. And so we actually kind of really get to see a little piece of what Obi-Wan was going through during that whole time, which is kind of a cool thing that they kind of explored. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I really, there's not a lot happened in it. But I really liked it. It is kind of weird though. It starts off with him being like, I am not gonna be a Jedi anymore, and I can't do my cool Jedi stuff. And then immediately he starts doing Jedi stuff.
Yeah, he's like, cool, I'm gonna do Jedi things now.
Yeah, that didn't last very long.
No.
But yeah, I really like the idea of like him kind of like always being there as like Luke grows up, and him and the conversation he obviously had with the uncle where he's like, I need to train this kid. Like that's the conversation I want to see. Like,
Yeah.
I need to train this kid. Like we need to get him ready for like battle. And then the guy's like, no, he's gonna farm water.
And being that was Obi-Wan having a conversation with just a random moisture farmer, how did Obi-Wan not win that argument?
Yeah, I don't know. He could have been like, I'm taking the kid.
Yeah.
But
Luke will be
yeah,
train the boy.
So it has a couple weird holes that seem to make a lot of sense, but I mean that's Star Wars in general, so I can't really get mad at that. But yeah, I really liked it. My only issue with the issue is I hope we get off of Tatooine.
Yeah.
Because Tatooine's so fucking ugly.
And it's boring.
It's boring and it's ugly.
Visually, it's boring. Yeah.
Everything's just brown and so it's I really hope the story moves on from there. But I don't know how it could, because he's essentially like it seems like each issue is gonna be him like saving Luke like mysteriously.
Yeah.
So which is cool, and it's also cool to kind of see Luke like he always as like, because I don't think you get the sense from the 3 movies that he's like always kind of been this heroic. He always has had the heroic ideal, you know what I mean? But
right.
In this first issue, you kind of get that sense that like, yeah,
there was always some fight somewhere.
Right. He's very Batman-esque in that like idea that like he's always kind of had this notion of being like we're looking out for the little guy and all that stuff. So
yeah. So that was Star Wars. The last thing I read, which you're gonna have to help me if you know anything about this. This was issue number 20 of Black Widow, and it says the last days of Black Widow. So I don't know if this particular story arc by Edmondson and Noto is ending. It kind of seems that way, especially with the editor letter that they put at the end of the book. I don't know if they're moving on or they're changing artists.
Yeah, I don't think Black Widow was announced post Secret Wars, so it's probably done.
I think it's over. It kind of bums me out because I've really grown to I mean, you guys know I always talk about how much I love this book. It's been a really interesting take into the character of Black Widow, kind of what makes her who she is, the different like things that she's done in her past that have affected her more so than others. And the last 2 issues have been one of those particular missions that she went on that obviously you can tell, obviously by how much time they spent showing it over 2 books, that it was one of those things that really impacted her as a person, and probably one of those things she really regretted doing in her past. And it's kind of a nice contrast to show that as to where she is now. And I know you caught me up on what's going on in the Secret Wars and the people that she's supposed to be saving from that. We talked about on the last one.
Right? Yeah. She's like, I think she was part of the arc that landed on Secret Wars, so it would make sense for her.
Yeah.
Kind of story to be wrapped up.
Yeah.
At that point, so
and it's kind of a nice tie up because if you know that story, which I don't, but you kind of see her going from she did all this horrible stuff to all of that has taken her to this point now in her life. And so it was kind of I guess a nice wrap up, but I'm going to miss this book because it was a really fun, like gritty, like spy noir type, espionage thriller. It'll be cool. It'll be cool if you didn't read this one to pick this up and trade, because you get to read the whole story all at once, and that might be a little bit easier to digest than having to wait. But I really love this book. I love the art on it, and you should definitely pick it up if you at all want to know about Black Widow.
Yeah, I think the art alone is worth picking that up.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Doesn't this look like something off of a James Bond movie from like the 70s? Just like
it's so perfect for that story and the character. It's really, really a great marriage.
For sure.
Artist and writer and muse.
Yes, definitely. But that was all I read.
Cool. I read a bunch of stuff I can't talk about.
I know one in particular, but we'll get to talk about that soon.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do want to say, I am going to say this. Yeah. I've read the paybacks from Johnny Cat and Dark Horse and Elliot. Is it Raoul?
Ray Hall?
Ray Hall, there you go.
Yes.
I've read the paybacks. It's amazing.
We love those guys, man. Those guys are
awesome.
Oh
my God. Yeah, despite like my total bias for loving Johnny Katz and everything he's written so far, this is probably my favorite thing that I've read of his. and I think it's going to make that guy a superstar. Like, I really think that this book is going to like
catapult him into that next level status.
Like he's just gonna go. So it's gonna be really good for him and Elliot. So I really am looking forward for everyone to reading that and then talking about that when it comes out. I'm sure we'll have a whole episode dedicated just to that the conversation, that book. There, there's so much great stuff, and I just want to talk about. All I'm gonna say is night. That's all I'm saying.
Night.
So yeah, check out that book. It's fantastic. When it comes out, it comes out in October. So we can talk about it next week.
Yes.
So hopefully, I'll bring it up next week again.
I'll remind you.
But
we'll be talking.
I also read Southern Bastards, which we talked about with Frank. And like he said, this Jason Aaron does a really good job with single issue character studies or character studies in general, but this one was a single issue, and it's about Esau, who's like the total shitbag, worst person in the town. Has like a pentagram and a goat like tattooed on his chest, like a satanic, like mean motherfucker, pretty much. And it's an amazing read. If you want to just read one issue Southern Bastards and just get an idea of what the book is about, this is a great issue to check it out. I will warn you, it is extremely vulgar and sexual. Literally the first page is him having sex with somebody, and it is visually detailed.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, so like just be warned, don't read it. I was telling Sean from ETMF podcast, I was like, dude, you have to read Southern Bastards #10, but don't like read it on the bus. Like, don't read it on the bus. Try to not like make sure your wife's not around. Like,
don't read it by your mom.
Yeah, the kids are put to bed.
Yes.
But it's like I said, it's a great just kind of like character study. It's just such a great book. If you're not reading Southern Bastards, you really, really should be. I also checked out another advanced copy review from Dark Horse. It's called Zodiac Star Force. So basically the basic premise is imagine like Sailor Moon and that whole gang of girls and all their powers and them fighting monsters. Well, imagine them like having to like beaten the last enemy, like their last bad guy, and now they have to like hang up their magic powers and go to high school.
No, that's on.
Yeah. So that's kind of like Zodiac Star Force is about. It's about these 5 girls, I think 4 or 5 girls. Who were like this superpower team who like battled monsters and like saved the world and the universe and all this stuff. And once they saved the world, had to go back just being normal kids. So they all have to like deal with it like in their own way. Like one of them wants to go back to like being superpowered and wants to go back to fighting monsters. Like another one wants nothing to do with it ever again.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of like in between that stuff. So it's a really fun book. The art, I had to pull up the artist because her art is just amazing. The artist is Paulina Gaunchu. Oh, I'm probably butchering her last name. I hope that's right though. Paulina Gaunchu is the artist. Kevin Panet is the writer. But I want to start highlight Paulina because her art is freaking amazing. It's so good. The way she uses like motion and the way the light and the inks are used to kind of highlight everything is. It's a goddamn beautiful book. Like just alone for the art, you should really check it out. Very like anime inspired, but at the same time very Western cartoon inspired and a very like bright and colorful and in your face. It's so good. So check out Zodiac Star Force. I think that comes out at the end of August. I want to say like August 26th or something. So make sure you guys are checking that out. That one did not have an embargo, so I can talk about it.
Yes.
So what else did I read? I think that's pretty much it. Everything else I read, I don't really. We talked about Star Wars, so that's good. Everything else I read was like weeks and weeks ago, so I don't want to talk about it. I'm sure you guys already talked about it. So we're good. Any news items we wanna talk about?
I know.
Oh, I saw Ant-Man. Hey, did we talk about Ant-Man? Did you talk about Ant-Man last week?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Yeah.
I like Ant-Man.
Did you love it though?
I didn't love it. I mean, okay. I liked it. I think Marvel has this real issue with fucking villains.
Yeah.
Like I felt like Corey Stoll is a great actor and could be a great villain, but like he was just bad just to be bad. Like there was like one throwaway line like, oh, the pin particle is like make you crazy, but like they never showed that. Like you could see where he was exposed to them and he would go crazy, but he wasn't never really exposed to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just felt like the villainy in that movie felt very kind of forced. I love the through line through all the Phase 2 films where someone loses an arm.
Like, the Star Wars nod.
Yeah, it's so cool, and so like the whole time I'm looking for that, like, oh fuck yeah, it finally got there.
There's the arm.
Yeah, so that was cool. I love the Yellow Jacket suit. Like the action in that movie is by far the best action in maybe any Marvel movie.
Yeah.
To date. I just really felt like the villain progression is not where it should be, gotcha. And I feel like that's the crux of all Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And it's because they are trying to introduce the hero and not the villain, right. Which makes sense because we're not really familiar with their heroes. Like Batman and that stuff, we get to know the villains much more
because we already know
Batman. Yeah, so like no one really cares to like hear all Batman's like insight and history all over again.
Sure.
But we need that from Iron Man, all those guys. So yeah, I really hope that in the next phases they really kind of step up their villain game.
Right.
We get more good villains, but
yeah,
I really liked it. I mean, I liked it. I didn't love it. It's not my. It's like probably top 5.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was up there for sure. Speaking of Batman, are you excited about the fact that Mark Hamill is going to be returning to voice the Joker in the Killing Joke animated movie?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that movie is weird. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about them making a Killing Joke movie. I mean, I guess it's the only way it's ever going to get made if they feel it needs.
It's pretty dark, right? It's pretty dark.
Yeah, Barbara Gordon essentially gets shot and then like mutilated and not mutilated. Yeah, she gets shot, paralyzed, tortured, and seemingly like sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
And then he like takes pictures of it
and sends it to Batman.
Yeah, and I think he sends it to Batman or Jim Gordon maybe. But I mean, it's not something that's conducive to a cartoon.
Right.
But DC Animation does things so well, and I'm sure that they'll handle that property with as much care as it deserves.
Right.
And to be perfectly honest, all of their animated movies aren't really animated. Like they're not geared towards children. In the first place, they're all basically PG-13,
right?
And I think that they're just movies that they wanted to make that they couldn't make in live action. So I think Killing Joke's definitely one of those, and that's why we're getting it. And yeah, I think it's super exciting that Mark Hamill's coming back, and it sounds like Kevin Conroy is going to be right behind him. So it's going to be an epic kind of send off for those guys for sure.
Just that alone will make people pick that up. I mean, those two guys are the definitive, voices of Batman and Joker. At least that's who I hear when I think of those characters. If I'm reading a comic,
Yeah, it's who I hear as well, and it's gonna and Kevin Conroy has been kind of in and out as Batman, lately. So I think it'll be a good send off for both of them.
For sure, man. Awesome. Well, I think we can end on that note. That's a pretty good spot to end up. As always, my friend, why don't you plug our beautiful?
Hold on. Before we end up, we gotta talk about the Spider-Man suit.
Okay. You want to talk? I knew this was coming. I was like, we haven't talked to you since the Spider-Man thing. So it's not confirmed, not even close, but there's rumored like concept art or like people have seen the Spider-Man suit and they're trying to like render it artistically. Sure.
And the artistic render, there's one or two that I've seen that are like, okay, that like I understand that.
Right.
And basically what it is it's a hoodie, like he's wearing a hoodie.
Okay.
But he has like a Spider-Man mask. But he has like goggles.
Yeah.
Like superior like Spider-Man goggles, kind of.
Yeah. They almost look like camera lens like apertures, right?
Yeah. But apparently they are like they emote, so like they can move up and down.
Yeah.
He's wearing like shoes and gloves, but the shoes and gloves like leave the soles and the toes of his feet open. So it makes sense for him climbing walls, right? Like that was always a complaint with the Spider-Man suit. Like, how is he climbing walls through the fabric of the suit or like wearing shoes?
Yeah, because I guess we're going off the basis that he has the ability on his skin, right?
Right. Right. So it kind of deals with those issues, and the way I explain it is like it's a costume a 16-year-old Peter Parker would make himself.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna sit and like fabricate like a latex like suit for a costume. Like he's gonna like.
In reality, a 16-year-old would never have the ability. I mean, we'll say this, obviously putting all costumey stuff aside. We'll say in reality, a 16-year-old wouldn't automatically know how, hey, I'm going to make a suit like, boom, flash of an eye, there's Tobey Maguire's suit. It's like, where the hell was the whole transition between there?
Well, not even that. Like, number one, what 16-year-old knows how to sew anything? Let's be honest. And number two, like even if he was gonna make a suit, like I don't like if me and you were gonna like become superheroes, we wouldn't like go out and buy like a bodysuit and like fit it, paint it, and whatever. Like you would go like you'd like make armor, or you'd make like you convert like a hoodie. You know what I mean? Like you'd use real world materials to make like a costume. That's what it is. Like it's very real world material stuff. So I think it looks cool. It's a nice enough departure from the other stuff, but it's still very Spider-Man-y, and it very very much resembles the Superior Spider-Man look.
Yeah,
which would tell me that when they do move to a full-on costume, that they'll maybe like gear it more towards that Superior black, like bottom, like red top, like look.
Right.
So, like, I don't think that people should panic. Like, I think we'll get the traditional Spider-Man costume at some point. But I said, for his first introduction, like, and for him like making this suit himself, like it fits. Like it fits perfectly. I don't think it's gonna be. Yeah, it makes sense. And it's practical, like I said, like his hands and his feet are like exposed, and he has the web shooters, and he has like a hood he like flips up and down. Like it's very cool. I liked it a lot. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, now you close the show.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. You go. Tell our listeners where they should be going and what they should be checking out.
Oh, as always, you should be going to www.geekswithwives.com, checking out the latest and greatest in comic reviews, movie reviews, TV reviews. Opinion pieces, interviews. You can see interviews from, all of our interviews from San Diego Comic-Con, from DC writers and Boom writers, including Frank from tonight, and the Archie team, including Mark Wade, who was awesome to talk to. Finally, so make sure to check those out. Tons of reviews going up every day, game reviews and stuff going up every day. There's so much stuff going on the site. Make sure you guys are checking out our cosplay section. We're featuring a great cosplayer every week. I love that's my favorite section, and just I love the fact that we get to feature someone every week and they get a full front page like splash on the website. So make sure you guys check that out. Just the usual rigmarole going on over there. We have all of our podcasts. We have 7 podcasts now. So there's a podcast for everything. So make sure you guys are checking out all of our podcasts, especially the Geeks on Screen and the Games podcast, and What's Your Issue, which is a kind of weekly comic review podcast where they don't have sit around and talk to creators and chat jokes and stuff for an hour.
They just talk books.
Yeah.
The meat and potatoes.
So make sure you guys are checking all that stuff out all the time. Rate and reviewing. Please rate and review us on iTunes. You guys just have no idea how much that helps us out. So please do all that good stuff.
Please.
Upcoming guests. We have Steve Orlando coming on. I believe we have Tom King coming on from DC. Robert Venditti from DC writing Green Lantern. We have Greg Wright coming back next week, I believe. Who wrote that great indie comic Stray Bullets. So our Wild Bullets. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Greg. It's Wild Bullets. So we're just tons of stuff happening all the time. Make sure you guys are staying tuned to Geeks with Wives, and we'll try to be as entertaining as possible.
We'll try. We do what we can, right?
Yeah, we do what we can. Not very much,
as always.
You can find me at the Comics Kid or at the Geeks with Wives official or Geeks with Wives and Capes official Twitter account, GWW Capes Crew. Awesome. And Ashley wanted to say she misses everybody and we'll be back next week. So those of you who are missing Ashley Danger, do not worry. She's not gone. She will be back very, very soon.
Yes, and we will look forward to seeing her again. And as always, thanks, buddy. It's always a grand adventure hanging out with you and talking to you. Thanks to our listeners and followers. We appreciate your love and support. And as always, keep checking us out. We'll be back next Thursday for another exciting episode. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at Darth Sparrow. For the whole crew, for myself and for Casey, we will catch you on the geek side.